Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Hope everybody is okay. As always, it's nice to have you here. Samantha here with another cute little video. Well, hopefully it's cute. I think they're cute. So today we're going to have a look at some beautiful flowers. Very stylized flowers, really cute, very easy to make, and you can make them in different sizes actually. As you can see here, I've made some little earrings. Again, stylized flowers. Don't have to be perfect. We like that, don't we? So you can make them in smaller size, larger size, and absolutely giant if you prefer. So we're going to concentrate on this middle size today. All right, so the measurements, I will put all the measurements for the smaller and the larger ones down in the description box so that you can actually make the larger ones if you wanted to, or the smaller ones indeed. But this is the size that we're going to make today. So you can make them into earrings like so, or as I've done here, you can make them into a beautiful necklace. Oh, here come the pleasure flights. Why is it every single time I sit down there's a pleasure flight comes over? Anyway, so you can make this gorgeous necklace. I'll put a little bit of a video or a picture up of what that looks like around the neckline. Absolutely beautiful, aren't they? All right, so let's get going with some materials, shall we? Let's just pop these out of the way. I'll just pop that up in the corner so we can see what we're doing. So for the actual flower itself, you're going to need some 1mm wire. You can use any wire of your choice. As always, I like to use bare copper because I love the colour of it. You're also going to need some 0.4mm wire. Again, around here I will put the gauge equivalents for you guys that use gauges, okay? You're going to need, as usual, some flush cutters. You'll need a couple of pairs of chain nose. You may only need to use one, but always have two to hand, I always say. You will need some round nose pliers. Round nose specifically this time. You're going to need some flat nose pliers. Oh, we're having a bit of fun with the camera not focusing today. There you go. So some flat nose pliers also. And you're going to need a mandrel of some description. Now, I got these a long time ago. You can buy them in sets where they go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10mm. Okay, so these guys are a really handy tool to have. So, or you can use a thin pencil or any type of thinnish mandrel that you've got. All right. You'll need a marker pen, just because we're going to do a little bit of measuring. And aside from that, just a simple ruler to measure out your lengths and some beads. So you're going to need some 6mm beads for the smaller beaded centres, or some 8mm. Now I've used 8mm beads here, all right? So, but for today we're going to be making one of these earrings, all right? So 6mm beads and your choice of 8O seed beads. Now these are galvanized rose gold, made by a company called Toho, and they're 8Os. So just have a look and see what beads go with what. So 6 or 8mm and 8O seed beads. All right, so I'll clear the table away and we'll get going on making these beautiful stylized flowers. All right, so I'll see you in a few. Right, we're back. We've got all our materials ready, hopefully, and let's go for it, shall we? Less of the small talk. So to make each one of this size, I will just measure across for you so you can have a look. About 4 centimeters, which is about 1 3/4 inches. Each one of these measures from corner petal to the petal to petal, essentially. Now with this particular necklace, I've used 8O beads, but for the demonstration today, I'm going to be using 6O. 6O, have you heard me? Sorry, 6mm, 6mm beads. with some 8/0 seed beads. All right, so let's, wow, honestly, my tongue is tied today. There we are. So let's get going. Right, so take your ruler and your 1mm wire of your choosing. Like I say, it doesn't matter which wire you use as long as it's, you know, got a decent handle to it. This is soft copper wire, so, and we need 30 centimeters, or the equivalent, obviously 12 inches. So you just take your flush cutters and cut off your length of wire. There we go. So keep hold of your ruler because we are going to be doing a little bit of measuring now. All right, so take your length of wire and you want to take your marker, and we're going to be marking 2 centimeters along, which is just over 3/4 of an inch. So put a little mark on your copper wire there. The next measurement we need to make is 1.5 centimeters. So I'll mark at 1.5 centimeters. All right, so hopefully you can see the marks there. Now the reason for this I will go into now. Let me just put this marker away. We want to be making the little petals, the points of our petals. All right, and each one of these measures 1.5 centimeters. All right, so watch what I do here. Take your flat nose pliers, and on the first mark, I want to make a right angle, like so. All right, like so. The 1.5 centimeter up here, we want to be making a bend, like so. I'm hoping you can see this okay. So you put it almost towards the end of your plier, thus, and bend your wire downwards. All right, so this is what we have. Now we're wanting to be making 6 of these, all right, because these represent each of the petals. So 6 peaks we want. So we bring in our plier again and hold it just above. I'll see if I can hold that tight. Where this line is here, where this piece of copper is here, we want to hold the plier just above that, because when we bend it round, we want it to be level with this bit here. All right, so as you can see here, I'm holding it literally just above this line here, so that when I bend around the plier, hopefully that will be in line, and it pretty much is. You don't have to get this absolutely exactly exact, because this is an organic shape, isn't it? And we want it to be relatively organic. We'll try and get it as close as you can. So again, at the top here, we bring in our plier and we grasp it just underneath the top part of this peak. So as you can see here, I don't know if you can see that the edge of the plier is just under the top of this peak, meaning that when we bend this round, hopefully, if I've done it correctly, you should see that these are level. Okay, so we do it again and grasp it firmly and bend. Don't forget I'm doing this through the camera so that you can see it clearly, so hopefully I'm doing it right. And then at the top again. All right, so just keep bending it round like so. So as you can see now, we've got 3 peaks, and they're pretty much almost level. Doesn't matter if they're not hugely level. Again, we bend it round, remove the pliers and pop the pliers back up the top and bend like so. So we have 4. Remove the pliers and pop them down here. And don't forget, you can pause the video and rewind it if you need to. And back up here, in for a 5th one. So grasp nice and firmly. So as you can see, we have 5. Let's bend it round again. As you can see, I'm holding the plier just above where this peak or trough here finishes. And back up. Okay, and in for the last one. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and just in for the last one. So literally just below and down. And we want to be replicating this part here. All right, so 30 centimeters actually is probably just slightly too much, but I always like to have too much than not enough, just in case your peaks and troughs are a little wider than mine. You could probably get away with, what, I don't know, about 25, 26 centimeters. So just have a play around yourself. So this is what we have, okay? This is what it looks like. So each one of these is one of the peaks of the flower. All right, so what we want to do now is, I like to have a little bit of a pointy flower. So I'll come in with my chain nose and I very carefully just squeeze the top peak, as you can see here, hopefully. Just give it a little bit of a squeeze and a squeeze, just a little tiny squeeze at the top, just to bring them in a little bit. All right, so this is what we have. The next thing we need to do is to separate each of these peak things here because this is what makes the little flower petals. So we grab and pull, grab and pull, and do that all the way along. Grab and pull, grab and pull, and grab and pull. So we have this sort of, I don't know, arachnid looking thing. It looks a bit like a spider to me or a strange alien being. All right, so this is what we're left with. So this, in this space here, this is the space where we're going to be creating the flower petals. All right, not this space here, all right, but these spaces. So the 6 of them. So the next thing you need to do is to come in with your little mandrel. So I'm using the second step, which is 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7 millimeters, this one. All right. So the various different ways of doing this, and some other wire artists will use their round nose pliers to do this. I find it easier just to use my fingernails and my fingers. So use your mandrel. You come in. So this is the shape that we've got, and don't forget that it's in between these spaces that we're going to be creating the flowers. All right, so come in here and place your mandrel in that negative space. Okay, push a little and use your fingers, or indeed if you want to use your round nose pliers, you can do. I prefer just to bend it around like so. And the reason why I'm struggling here is because I'm just doing it through the camera. So, all right, so this is what we have. So you come in and do that on each of your petals. Bend it around. I hope the camera's getting this. And then the next one. Bend it around. Can you see how that's working? And in this section here, bend around. Just keep going all the way around until you've got 6 petals that will bend in around themselves. This is the last one. And this is what we're left with. You see that? So this is our little flower. The next thing we need to do is come in with our little flush cutters. And this shorter section here, we want to cut that about, how long is that? About, let's have a measure. I'll just measure it off the camera. About 5 millimeters. All right, 5 or 6 millimeters. To give that a bit of a chop. There are lots and lots of different ways of doing this, guys, but this is just the way that I prefer to do it, just because it's neater for me, and I just prefer it this way. Then we come in with our round nose pliers. What we want to be doing is bending this guy round and making a loop. A little bit fiddly at this particular point, but just bear with it, because at the end you can you know, bend your wire into place. It's no big deal. So bend that around and make a loop like so. So we have a loop here, you see, and there's our loop. So just tidy that up if you need to. There we are. I'm just going to pop that over there. That's it. Okay, so this is what we have. So at this stage we have a flower with 6 petals and our little loop here. Come in with your cutters again, and then you want to cut again about 4 or 5 millimeters. Again, you've got a little bit of waste there, but this is just an idea for you. You know, do your own measurements. Then you come in here, and we want to be bending this tiny bit of wire away from us and through that loop. All right, so holding everything nice and tight to make sure that nothing gets bent out of place. You see how that works? That's gone through that hole there onto the back side. So what you want to do now is tighten that over. So it's essentially a loop through a loop. So bend it with your chain nose and tighten things up like so. And this part here, you can do a little bit of what we call in the north fettling. Just a bit of messing about just to make sure that everything's nice and tight and happy, which it is. So there we go. So there is our little flower with the 6 petals. Now then, how does that look? Cute. All right, so that's that made. So go ahead and make how many of those that you want. I mean, if you're making a pair of earrings, obviously you'll just need to make 2. If you're going to make this beautiful necklace, obviously you can make 3 or 5 or however many you want. So this is what we have now. The next thing we need to do is to make the center piece. All right, so like I say, you can use 8mm beads, and that takes 14 seed beads, or if you're going to be making the 6mm, it takes 12. All right, so I'll show you what I mean now. So you come in with a length of your 0.4mm wire. A decent amount, you know. What's that? Let's have a look. Let's measure it just to be exact. Give or take, I always say. Give or take. That's about 18 centimeters, which is just over 7 inches. So that should be sufficient, and it's probably slightly too much. If you've been watching me for a while, you'll know that I like too much wire rather than not enough. There's nothing worse than coming to the end of something and realizing that you don't have enough wire. So what we need to do now is bring in our beads. So let's have a look what our beads. So I'm going to take a few of these beautiful, what are they? Galvanized rose gold. And I'm going to take a 6mm faux pearl, just because I think they would look beautiful. Right, so count 12 seed beads onto your wire, all right? So let's just do this boring bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. All right, so I'll just get rid of these guys so they're not getting in the way. Meantime, talk amongst yourselves. Hope you're all right, guys, and you're having a good week and you're being creative. It's good to get through a busy week to be creative. All right, so we have our 12 8/0 seed beads on this little tiny piece of wire here. So what we want to be doing is taking one end of the wire and feeding it through 6 of the seed beads, all right, because we're going to be making a loop. So all you do, bear with me while I do this through the camera. It's difficult working through the camera sometimes. 1, 2, 3, 4, oops, 5 and 6. All right, so that we have 6 here and 6 that we've threaded this wire through. Bear with me, there we go. So this is what we have. So evenly spacing this wire and this wire, just pull this together into as much of a circle as you can get, and then get your chain nose and just give each side a little gentle tug. Not too much of a tug, because don't forget it is only 0.4mm wire and it will snap if you're not careful. So we have this. All right. So the next thing we need to do is to pop our 6mm bead on. So what I tend to do is to put my finger on the circle and then pull these 2 wire bits up like so. You see that? Then we take our bead. So again, thread one side of the wire through and then the other side of the wire through. So as long as you've got a bead with a relatively decent sized hole, you'll be fine. And then just pull, and tug, and then placing your circle here and the bead onto the pad of your finger and hold with your thumb nice and firmly. Again, just give it a little bit of a tug on both sides just to secure things in place. That should be fine. So this is what we have. So how cute is that? That's the center of our flower. There we go. Oh, that's my fridge making ice. If you can hear that, my apologies. Right, so what we need to do now is place and secure this guy onto the frame. Now, when you make these frames, oh, there you go. Sorry about that. Oh, it's still going. Oh, good grief. Okay, there you go. I might have to edit that bit out. I might not, it depends how I feel. Anyway, you need to make sure that you pop this guy on that will just cover this join. Now, there's not really much you can do. There are ways of making these where you wrap the longer part of wire around another bead, but when you're making it this way, there isn't much you can do about that, but you should be able to cover that join, so much so that you can barely see it. So you place your little flower center here over the top of your frame. And what we're aiming to do is to see this little nook here and this nook here. We're aiming to place the wire, the 4mm wire, into that space. You see that? So that when we turn it over, we can now, don't know if you can see, hopefully I might bring it in closer when I edit if it doesn't show it up too well. But we want to be wire wrapping round this little section here. So all you do is pop the wire through And again, like with everything with 0.4 wire, just give it a gentle tug. It doesn't have to be completely pulled on. And literally wire wrap. I do it 3 times. So if you do it any more than that, you'll be able to see it. And once more. And wrap through. And just tidy things up and pull taut. And there you go, you can't see it behind. If you can slightly, just give it a little bit of a push. All right, so let's get rid of that extra. All right, and give it just a little bit of a squish to tidy things up. So we have this other part here to do. So again, wire wrap, just pop it through and tight underneath the seed beads, obviously. Wire wrap it again and through. Oops, that's not going through, is it, Sam? There we go. And back through. Just push that down with your pliers if you need to. Get rid of the excess. Now I've found that 3 wraps is sufficient. If you decide that you need to do any more, then obviously you just go ahead. Don't forget, these are just ideas. We want to make sure that that is nice and neat and not scratchy, because we'll be wearing that against the skin if you're going to be using it in a necklace. Not too much of a trouble if you're going to be using it for earrings, which this will be. So here we go. So that's our little flower attached to our frame. Now I like to put a little bit of an angle on these, just because I like the textural nature of it. You can use, leave them flat and give these a little hammer at the end if you wanted to for texture. That's absolutely fine. Just tuck that away. It's at this point here now, you just give it a bit of a jiggle around, make sure everything's nice and neat and tidy. And if you want, just come in with your chain nose and just bend these guys upwards, or some up and some back, that kind of thing, or to the sides or whatever. Just give your little stylized flower a little bit of texture. Okay, and then at this point, if you need to push any of your little petals in or out or over or any of that kind of thing. And there we have our beautiful, beautiful little flower. So I will just pinch a little ear wire off one of these, just so we can have a look at how it looks. Again, you can make your own ear wires. Bob it on, tighten it up, and there is a gorgeous, gorgeous earring. Aren't they beautiful? So like I say, make them in any size you like, with any beads you like, as long as you make the circle to fit the bead that you're using. So again, like I said, these are 6mm with 12 8/0 seed beads, and for the necklace here I've used 8mm beads with 14 of the 8/0 seed beads. All right, so it's one of those things where you just completely experiment and have a play and have lots of fun. I think these are just gorgeous. So have fun making these, and again, like I say, I will put in the description box the different lengths of measurement. Can you remember when we measured twice? So 2 centimeters long. These ones were 1.5. The smaller ones are 1 centimeter, and the larger ones are 2 centimeters. Okay, so I'm sure you'll know what I mean when you get going. All right, so if you have any questions, just pop me a note down in the description box. No, not the description box, the comments section, and I'll do my best to answer any of your questions. Okay, so have fun making these, and I will see you in my next video where we'll be making a ring to match these guys. All right, so I'll see you soon. Have a lovely week.